Welcome, very good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to yet another episode of Perceptive Learning Zone. And today we will be talking about the dark sides of some popular CEOs that we know in today's modern, fast-paced world. So, first of all, I would like to talk about a very, very famous figure by the name of Larry Page. But before I talk about Larry Page, we got to understand one thing that a CEO is constantly under immense pressure. He's constantly under immense pressure to perform as per to the requisite expectations. He's under pressure to adjust to society's demands to eliminate competitors as well as generate massive profits. The best CEOs demonstrate strong values from the start. Oh, sorry, it's like someone's at the office. Just give me a second, please. All right, let's carry on. Like I said, a CEO is constantly under immense pressure to adjust to society's demands, eliminate competitors and generate massive profits. Now, the best CEOs, they demonstrate strong values from the start. They allow for consistent leadership, dynamism, as well as long-term growth. However, not all CEOs can manage the countless hours, criticism, and ethical issues with grace. Not all of them are capable of doing the Lord's good work when push comes to shove. So, CEOs of some of the world's most famous companies often have a dark side. Corner cutting, a toxic work culture, and arrogance can lead to a lack of business transparency as well as a blatant disregard for regulatory procedures. And this can, my dear students, lead to very costly consequences. Some well known leaders have managed to survive their scandals, while others have often found their career in tatters. So, first of all, let us look at Larry Page. From Google Ads to Google Pay, Google services have become very indispensable to businesses and consumers. There are no two opinions about that. Google and its parent company Alphabet, they are determined to move beyond search engines and find their way into each and every facet of our lives. So there is no doubt that Larry Page, who co-founded Google, was its CEO for years and served as the CEO of Alphabet until 2019. And he deserves much of the credit for that. But at what cost does Larry deserve that credit? So, although Google is often praised as one of the most employee friendly businesses in the industry, it's hard to fight your own nature. Those who work closely with Page have described him as very withdrawn, often to the point of rudeness. During important meetings, it's said that he would disengage and refuse to pay attention to those around him. Some described him even as a kind of a jerk. And there are some other terms also, but it's not morally befitting of me to talk about this, to use those words on this forum where everyone is listening. So, yeah, I'll just skip those words, but you can figure it out. While Page was respected among his subordinates, many felt he would prefer as little human contact as possible. Today, he remains on Alphabet's board of directors and is a member of its executive committee, suggesting that he still retains a fair amount of power, even if his personality isn't as fun as a Google Doodle. So many, and by the way, I feel like many influential CEO quotes about success, they aim to inspire and motivate. Larry Page, for example, offered up this nugget that always delivered more than expected, but not everyone would agree that he lived up to his words. The second CEO that I want to talk about today, ladies and gentlemen, is Lloyd Blankfein. When it comes to being respected and being popular with the troops, for a long time it was hard, to beat Lloyd Blankfein, who's been the senior chairman of Goldman Sachs since 2019 and previously served as the CEO, the COO, and the president. At one point in his tenure, believe it or not, he had a 97% approval rating, which says something about his leadership style. So the question that emerges, the ethical question, that how can a man so beloved by his underlings have a dark side? So let's look at some information and then you decide, right? In 2010, the US Securities and Exchange Commission officially charged Goldman Sachs with fraud in the structuring and marketing of collateralized debt obligations, and this was tied to subprime mortgages. With Blankfein at the helm, the company illegally profited from the recession. Yet, when the Congress officially interviewed the executive about his company's actions, Blankfein claimed, under oath, mind you, that his company had never intentionally shorted the mortgage backed securities to increase profits. In 2011, the next year, a United States Senate panel announced that Blankfein and Goldman Sachs they misled both Congress and its clients, and Senator Carl Levin even wanted the U.S. Department of Justice and the SEC to investigate the company for possible charges, including perjury claims against Blankfein. But ultimately, no charges were ever filed. But there is no doubt that Blankfein's shiny veneer was cracked. And the year after that, in 2012, his reputation took another hit when a departing executive ribbed him in a 2012 op ed piece in the New York Times. And 10 years later, in the spring of 2022, Goldman Sachs revealed a 79.5 million US dollar settlement with shareholders over claims of poor eyesight that was tied to the controversial Malaysia Development Berhad Wealth Fund, which was involved in a money laundering scandal. Shareholders specifically named Blankfein in the complaint, which was related to the Department of Justice 2020 foreign bribery charges against Goldman Sachs and the company's $2.9 billion US settlement. So Blankfein, we can say, has weathered several scandals during his reign, which raises the question of whether his image can ever be tarnished entirely. And among CEOs who shared their success secrets, Blankfein once touted his advice on creating a work-life balance. He said, "You owe it to yourself to open up to broader interests. In the end, it will be better for your career because you will be more interesting as well as attractive to others." Then moving on to talk about the third CEO, that is Carly Fiorina, right? So improving employee engagement, fellas, is crucial in business because unhappy workers are typically less productive. And when there's a disgruntled employee, you can bet there's a lousy boss not too far off. So such was the case with Carly Fiorina. Fiorina was brought on as the CEO of Hewlett Packard HP in 1999. She became the first female head of a Fortune 500 company in the process. For a while, it seemed she would be a good fit. In actuality, her tenure was plagued with problems from day one, and they just seemed to stack up as the time went on. So consider the following. Number one, she exploited loopholes in export sanctions by using foreign subsidiaries to sell millions of dollars worth of computer equipment to Iran, a controversy that came back to haunt her during her bid for the 2016 Republican presidential nomination. Talking about domestic struggles for this lady, back on the home front, Farina's leadership was landing her own company in some serious hot water. Some 30,000 workers lost their jobs, and about 80,000 others agreed to either take pay cuts or give up accrued vacation time, many of whom were laid off regardless. Also, the lady came under fire for increasing her salary threefold and purchasing a private jet while her employees languished in near poverty. And still, despite all of this information, her stint as HP CEO wasn't a total failure. When she was forced to resign in 2005, the company's stock jumped 6.9%. It seems that getting fired was the best thing she could have done for HP. As for her career, well, that's been considerably damaged, due in part to her failed attempts to move into politics. And according to the Women Business Collaborative, 10.4% of Fortune 500 company CEOs are women. Now, second last on our list is Mark Zuckerberg. It reminds me when I think of Zuckerberg that saying that you can be unethical and still be legal. That's the way I live my life. So this eyebrow-raising statement of his is allegedly a remark made by Facebook's Mark Zuckerberg, according to a former Harvard classmate. Now, its authenticity has never been proven, but it might give you a glimpse into how the founder of the world's most popular social media site views the concept of morality. Now, it's no secret that Zuckerberg has a dark side. After all, Aaron Sorkin made a movie, The Social Network, based on the premise that Zuckerberg straight up stole the idea of Facebook from several of his friends. But business is often a dog eat dog world, right? So maybe, but some serious allegations regarding Zuckerberg's demeanor have emerged over the years. Let's look at them systematically in real time. Number one, the CEO has been accused of using Facebook login details to break into and read private emails. Secondly, on at least one occasion, he hacked a rival social network site to vandalize social profits and make it difficult for, to vandalize social profiles and make it difficult for users to locate one another. He has been sued multiple times. He has been criticized for his filings, and in recent times, he has been served with subpoenas over the Cambridge Analytica scandal. Also, the chief executive officer of Facebook was widely blamed for letting misinformation run rampant on Facebook during the 2016 and 2020 elections. And in 2021, he was even asked to testify about Facebook's role in the 6th January attack on the Capitol. So petitions for Mark Zuckerberg to resign, well, we see that they seem to creep up almost every year, and his own employees have staged virtual protests against the company. So the whistleblower Frances Hogan even said in June 2022 that Facebook can't repair its reputation until Zuckerberg steps down, which I feel he has no intention of doing anytime soon. And then finally, for today, we look at the fifth CEO, one of my all time favorites, but we look at some other aspects about his profile as well. Elon Musk. Elon Musk has attained celebrity status with his boasts of science fiction successes and seductive forward thinking image. Unfortunately, the man that car enthusiasts, put on a pedestal often gets in the way of his own achievements, which include varying degrees of success with Tesla, SpaceX, as well as X, that was formerly Twitter. So instead of being best known for his game changing innovations, Musk is most closely associated with questionable behavior. So he has a well documented history of making controversial statements and was accused of spreading misinformation and unscientific claims during the COVID-19 pandemic. In 2018, the SEC sued him for a misleading tweet about, taking Tesla private, which forced him to step down as chairman while remaining CEO. Um, his claims about Tesla's capabilities have also been called into question. At one point, the customers were asked to sign non-disclosure agreements in order to receive free defect repairs. That was a sort of you can say, a shady way to keep problems off the public radar so Tesla could continue to boost its stock price, take on new investors, and hide, safety concerns from the auto regulators. Additional stories of environmental violations and countless employee accounts of mistreatment have often overshadowed the few successful products Tesla has been able to produce. And autopilot issues, which are slowing the demand, and as well as price cuts, as well as cyber truck recalls, they're just a few of the issues that Tesla faces in today's internet-wide, satellite-covered global parish. Musk's Twitter takeover, if you talk about that as well, and his transition to X has been, you could say, eventful. After some waffling, Musk completed the deal to acquire Twitter in October 2022. He caused controversy immediately by firing executives and unceremoniously laying off nearly half of the workforce. He launched an unpopular paid verification service called Twitter Blue, which immediately dealt with a slew of imposter accounts. He got rid of content moderation rules and also launched an abrupt rebrand as X that caused global confusion. So his complicated personal life, his arrogant public persona, his suspect labor practices, and other factors continue to make him a controversial public figure and business person. Even though I'm very inspired by him when it comes to technical achievements, but we had to look absolutely at his other side as well. So therefore, that saying in life, behind every cloud is a silver lining, and you learn this lesson that be objective and never pass a ruling until you have examined both sides of the coin, my dear students, until you've seen both sides of the picture, my dear fellows. Yeah. So, fellows, in the next session, we'll be discussing some more dark sides of popular CEOs in the contemporary society. Till then, you fellas stay blessed and have a lovely evening. Assalamu alaikum.